Hello, everyone. Oh, let's see what's going on. What is they throwing at me today? Well, we have a lot to talk about today. Let's see. I really want to talk about this one right quick because this, these are I don't like neither one of these people because of their stance on their narrative, how they give out information. Um,
Senator, these are the facts. When President Trump took office, inflation was at 3%. It's now at 3.4%. Gas prices are over $4 a gallon, up over $1 from a year ago. President Trump's tariffs have cost American households nearly $2,000. He promised he was going to bring prices down on day one. Did he break that promise? Prices have gone up.
Well, good news is you don't disagree with the fact that Joe Biden brought 21% extra cost on the American families. We do agree.
But we're not talking about Joe Biden, though. The Biden administration is over. This is the Trump. We're 2 years into the Trump administration.
It's a contrast, Kristen. At the end of the day, the American people need to see the contrast, and the good news is they're seeing the contrast.
But
We're seeing
I'm
the most
asking
dangerous,
you,
radical, weird candidates coming out of the Senate from the Democrats, and we're going to have a chance to let the American people tell us which party they prefer.
This is really bugging me. It hasn't been doing this, so
I am betting not only on Republicans, I'm betting on us staying in the majority and even having a shot at increasing the majority.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's this website or why it won't let me share my screen. It haven't been doing that before, but I already know because I stopped making videos on this channel because somebody reported me. You know, and then I started losing the little uh, subscribers I had. But I just wanted to talk about that because what are we going to school for if we're going to be treated like idiots? And I don't understand why she even had him on her show knowing the talking points. These journalists on these main news shows already know the talking points. They already know what they get ready to get on there and say. Blame Biden. Blame Biden. It's a contrast. This how far we had to go. Well, we know that. But if you ain't fix one thing in 1 year in that White House, all we done seen is these monuments going up. You're tearing up the White House lawn, building. Use the president, not a landscape. They did not. I'm sure they did not. You. I'm sure they did not vote for you to build stuff. Put your name on stuff. could do that. Go back to your day job once you leave the White House. But this is ridiculous. This is really ridiculous. What they doing? Let me see. And I'm paying, all this money for this internet, and it's messing up like this. I'm gonna have to. Rethink this. This is ridiculous. Mm. I just be doing this in my spare time, just trying to share my thoughts and ideas, because we're all in this together. I mean, these people may have convinced themselves that someday they're going to be in their own little rich space. And what is this?
Of Management and Budget, the OMB. His technical title, I think, is Director of the Office of Management and Budget. And Russell Vought is tantamount to a combination of a Rasputin and a Grim Reaper. And also Voldemort. I kind of feel like he's an amalgamation of all of those things. And I don't say this in jest. He's the most powerful man right now in DC, only because convicted felon Donald Trump has given him the power to do this. They call him the shadow president. And the reason why is the Office of Management and Budget is the place that controls the money flow to be able to go to all of these federal agencies and departments. And Russell Vought, being the lackey that he is, does everything that Donald Trump tells him to do, including, according to media reports and now members of Congress, illegally withholding funds to states simply because they are, quote, blue, they lean heavily Democratic, or they supported Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. If it sounds wrong, you're right. If it sounds right, and if it sounds like somebody should get off their ass and do something about it, Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove, she heard you. Today, she's introduced these articles of impeachment. And this resolution makes it clear that Russell Thurlow, that's his middle name, Vought, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, should be impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, and that the following articles of impeachment be exhibited to the Senate. Article 1, abuse of power through improper impoundment of congressionally appropriate.
Okay. Now, why? Why would you do that? Why would you withhold money to states that didn't vote for you? Knowing that it's illegal, knowing that it could be hurting children, knowing that you can get impeached and criminalized, they do it anyway. And this is, we're talking about a criminal president doing criminal stuff. And I just can't get over seeing these police officers clapping for this criminal that is still committing crimes. Oh, what is this?
Be described as a Black American starter kit and decided to tell Black people that our money doesn't matter. Okay. According to him, Black people need Asian-owned businesses more than Asian-owned businesses need Black people. A boycott wouldn't move anything. The loss wouldn't register. Our dollars don't count. Now, this might just be me, but if I genuinely believed that somebody's money didn't matter, I don't think I'd spend my afternoon making a video about it. So naturally, I went looking at the history, because this conversation isn't really about just one video, right? The very second that Black people start talking economics, where our money goes, who profits from it, who builds wealth off our communities, people get uncomfortable. That same discomfort doesn't appear when other groups do the same thing. Every immigrant community that's come to this country has done it. Jewish, Chinese, Korean, Italian, Indian, Armenian, pooling resources, building businesses, keeping their money inside their communities for as long as possible. Nobody finds that controversial though. But what they fail to recognize is that we understood the same thing. We had to. After slavery, Black communities built.
Answer the question. Will he answer the question?
The question, sir, is how can you and your administration argue to Americans that you're cleaning up corruption, you're preventing fraud, you're fighting these sorts of things that harm people and people's financial situations, when the president seems to be talking up stocks that he owns, selling them, and enriching himself?
Okay, so here, let me answer your question here. That was a doozy. Before I answer your question, I want to just observe there are different ways to ask a question. Okay, you could just ask a question, try to get your answer, or you could do like a speech where you say, you know, Mr. Vice President, you're a terrible human being, and so is the president, so is the entire cabinet, and then I'm like, what's your question? And then your question is, how dare you? Come on, man. Have a little bit of objectivity in the way that you ask these questions, because there were a lot of things in that speech masquerading as a question that didn't actually get asked, okay?
The question, sir, is how can you and your administration argue to Americans that you're cleaning up corruption?
Are you serious? I want to know, do they have a school you go to learn how to not answer a question? How to be a criminal? Why we don't know more about this vetting process? What are these asking these people? Can you keep a lie? Can you lie with a straight face? Are you willing to bend over backwards for this president? What is they asking these people to become one of them? Trump administration declares it's time to end this liberal group. How they gonna end something?
Here in the United States, we have taken the necessary and essential action of formally recognizing left-wing violence as a form of political terrorism that is a direct threat to our national security and the survival of our Republican form of government. President Trump issued a directive. In our parlance, it's called a National Security Presidential Memorandum, or NSPM, NSPM 7 to be exact, that directs for the first time in American history all of our law.
Look that up. Because we're going to have to be prepared for these people like you would be prepared for a disaster. Because they have money and they don't know what to do with it. When you are an evil genius, you spend your time and money on inflicting pain on people. And that's exactly what they're doing. These are evil geniuses. They didn't get where they
of our law enforcement and intelligence agencies to work together to disrupt, identify, defund, debank, arrest, and prosecute these political terrorists that are operating in our country. It's very important to understand that left-wing political terrorism seeks as its ultimate end the overthrow of our system and form of government. And we've seen this has taken place many times in many places throughout the years, and Secretary Rubio has provided you many examples.
Oh, yeah.
Left-wing terrorism always ends in bloodshed, misery, and suffering. It only can travel in one direction. There's no point at which the left-wing terrorist is satisfied with his gains and ceases progressing. Inevitably, left to run its course, it always becomes a gulag. It always becomes the mass imprisonment of political enemies, the stripping of their rights and freedoms, inflicting immense pain, humiliation, suffering in order to establish.
Everything he just mentioned, it seemed like that's everything they've done with the ICE agents, National Guard. I wish I knew where this example that Rubio led with. Let's see if we could find. What's the name of that group?
Complete and total control. Disrupt, identify, defund, debank, prosecute these political terrorists that are operating in our country. It's very important to understand that left-wing political terrorism seeks as its ultimate end the overthrow of our system and form of government. And we've seen this has taken place many times in many places throughout the years, and Secretary Rubio has provided you many examples. Here in the United States, we have taken the necessary and essential action of formally recognizing left-wing violence as a form of political terrorism that is a direct threat to our national security and the survival of our Republican form of government. President Trump issued a directive, in our parlance, it's called a National Security Presidential Memorandum, or NSPM, NSPM 7 to be exact, that directs for the first time in American history enforcement and intelligence agencies to work together to disrupt, identify, defund, debank, arrest, and prosecute these political terrorists that are operating in our country. It's very important to understand that left-wing political terrorism seeks as its ultimate end the overthrow of our system and form of government. And we've seen this has taken place many times in many places throughout the years, and Secretary Rubio has provided you many examples. Left-wing terrorism always ends in bloodshed, misery, and suffering. It only can travel in one direction. There's no point at which the left-wing terrorist is satisfied with his gains and ceases progressing. Inevitably, left to run its course, it always becomes a gulag. It always becomes the mass imprisonment of political enemies, the stripping of their rights and freedoms, inflicting immense pain, humiliation, suffering, in order to establish complete and total control. Control through psychological and physical and actual terror. And we have to understand that that is the scope and the extent of the threat that we face. As Secretary Rubio also pointed out, this is an international network. Antifa, as an example, operates in dozens of countries all throughout the world.
Antifa, okay, they always bring up that. That's why I made a video about how they are trying to end the nonprofit organizations. Because if they don't have a hand in what you're saying and doing, you are a threat to them. Because they cannot control, they want to control your every move. They want to control what you see, hear, wear. And you look at what he's wearing. Those are the clothes of an oppressor. Now, look at what the that's all to it.
Share common networks of funding, and organization, and information sharing. And so all of our intelligence agencies and law enforcement entities should be collaborating and coordinating and working together in order to root out these organizations.
What organization?
One of the hallmarks of left-wing violence and terrorism is its completely pretextual and disingenuous appeal to civil liberties in an effort to shield its own violence. This is the tactic that the left always uses to try to protect itself from facing criminal punishment. It is essential that we are wise enough and strong enough to understand that these appeals must fall on deaf ears. When the leftist, who does not believe in freedom, who does not believe in civil rights, who does not believe in any ordered notion of justice, protest that we are violating his.
That same man that is controlling ICE, kidnapping people, beating people up, putting kids in jail, raping children. This is the same. This is crazy. This is crazy. The resurgency of political terrorism. And this is who they put in front to talk about terrorism.
Rights understand that he is lying to try to persuade people who are not closely following the political scene that some injustice has been perpetrated against him. We must stay the course and be completely unflinching in the pursuit of justice against these enemies of civilization. If the left is allowed to use the real or actual threat of violence to destabilize our institutions, then those institutions cannot and will not succeed. So here in the United States, for example, we saw in the recent past clear threats of violence against our Supreme Court to try to shape how they rule on upcoming decisions. The leftist does this with the full desire, intent, and understanding that the threat of violence against a public figure or their family is meant to cow them into behaving or acting or conducting themselves differently.
Okay.
You had the combination.
He's talking about something that happened years ago. Bring up something that just happened recently. Because you can't. Because y'all doing so much damage. And are threatening to do more damage. Oh.
They have record high euthanasia rates, and so it gets foolish on their part.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but Donald Trump appears because he is again picking the same fights with Canada that he started with them well over a year ago at this point. Because he is a memory patient with his brain leaking out of his ears, and he goes around picking the same fights in the same ways and expecting the same results, except normally what happens is that he tucks his tail between his legs and he runs away like a little bitch. And so here we are again. We are heading into the 2026 midterms, and life is about to get a whole lot more expensive for the American people because Donald Trump decided that he was going to bully our best friend and trick into submission. And so before we go ahead and
do anybody understand what's going on? All the stuff that's going on now, we're picking a fight with Canada. This is the chaos. This is the chaos. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is the chaos.
Hey, what's up, everyone? We welcome you guys to another episode. Here's what I think with your host, Charles Advance. So let's get into this topic. I believe it was a day or two ago. What is it on Fox News, right? And I really went off on that. And after producing that,
I've talked about Patriot Mobile's commitment to faith, family, and freedom with your cell phone without sacrificing quality or service. Worried about coverage? Don't be. Patriot Mobile uses all 3 major U.S. networks. If you have cell phone service today, you can get service with Patriot Mobile. Think switching is hard? It's not. Their 100% US-based team can activate your phone within minutes. They even have a contract buyout. So go to patriotmobile.com/Kirk25 or call 972-PATRIOT today. Promo code Kirk25 for a free month of service. Yesterday, of course, was the 2-month anniversary of Charlie Kirk's assassination, and we had a campus tour event, the final one of the This Is the Turning Point tour. We rebranded it after Charlie's assassination, and it was at UC Berkeley, which is supposed to be the birthplace of the modern free speech
birthplace
movement.
of the free speech movement and like persistent like layer of the worst, most like wretched elements of the ones that haven't moved to Portland or Seattle.
Yeah, Charlie visited the campus a few times. I was with him on one occasion, and we were struck by just
modern free speech. Do they really think they have free speech? They look in the mirror, they say, I got free speech. I can go out here and say what I want to say. I can go out here and spew lies, racist rhetoric, because I have free speech. I don't care what nobody say. The God that I worship allows me to say whatever I want to say, whether it's a lie or hurtful or whatever. Now, that Stephen Miller was just talking about Antifa. So let's hear what they're going to say about Antifa. Anti-fascist.
just this prevailing sense of nihilism.
But you heard that they was trying to spin it where they just saying that, but they really buying it, people. So don't even listen to that. Don't believe your ears. See, they can say that because, see, they be invited out front because we're cleaning up.
And a depression. It's a very, I think, a dark place, but there are great people there. And Antifa swarmed our event last night. It became a massive news story, as most of you probably have heard by now. And I want to get right into it because we have Lila Yusuf. She is part of our Cal Berkeley TPUSA chapter there. She's a second-year law student. And she was stuck in the mob, had glass bottle and paint thrown on her. And I want to welcome her to the show to give us her firsthand account of what she saw and witnessed. Layla, welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and making the time. I know it was probably a late evening for you all there and an eventful one. So why don't you just start by telling us what happened, what you saw, and we're going to unpack this piece by piece here.
Sure. It was absolutely a horrible experience with the Antifa protesters. Pretty much I finished class around 5:30. I walked over from the law school and kind of it was clear that there were two different groups. It was the Antifa and the violent protesters carrying their signs. At that point, they had already started mocking Charlie Kirk's death, shouting slurs like Nazi, fascist to anyone walking by, wearing a MAGA hat or anything with the American flag on it. I saw people stepping on U.S. flags. And so then I ended up joining this line of people to enter when all of a sudden I start hearing three loud booms, and it sounded as if it was almost a bomb or gunshots going off. I later found out it was, I believe, some car revving or fireworks. And then all of a sudden I see a glass bottle being thrown above the crowd at the police officers. And all of a sudden the police officers, they kind of get into a formation. They put their visors on, and that's when the glass bottles getting thrown on us. And so I, at the time, was standing with a police officer. I was the first person in line in the barricade. So I ran through the barricade and I ran through the two lines of police officers, and I kind of hid beneath the police officers to be protected from a glass shard and bottle that was almost a few inches from my head.
Yeah, and so just so everybody's clear about what actually happened, and you were so close to it that you probably didn't understand the tactical formations that were happening. So these Antifa people, and I've got the whole rundown from our team, these Antifa thugs tried to basically block off the one entrance to the venue. And we could show the flyers. So this was a coordinated assault on this event. The flyers, what is the image, folks? I saw it here just a second ago. I want to put this up because I want people to understand. It's 141. Throw it up.
Yeah.
So
Berkeley, End Fascist Turning Point's youth-oriented campaign of incitement to violence.
Yeah, so what they're doing now is they're claiming that
in Fascist Turning Point's youth-oriented campaign of incitement to violence. Now, this is, this is the answer. Because I was just wondering, because I'm like, in another 30 to 40 years, most of these old geezers are going to be no longer here. So who's going to take over for them? Well, they are grooming these young ones to have that mindset. Yeah. And it works on both sides, I'm sure. And see, that's why it's going to always continue to be separated. That's why I'm always saying that we need to make our minds up if we want to continue to live like this. In a country that's divided and can't learn to live with one another. So I believe that we need to teach our young ones to really think about maybe leaving this country, because it is becoming more violent and it's becoming more divided and more unstable, because now they have it where you don't know what to believe. These people have gotten really sophisticated with their divisive rhetoric. And then you have AI. You don't know if this stuff is real. I mean, you could fool some people. Some people are easily fooled. Just like when Trump was running to be the president, and they kept putting up these AI pictures of him surrounded by a bunch of black people. We all knew it was fake. Well, see, we don't know what other people are saying. Because see, they know they have surveillance. And a lot of us are fooled by, they are looking at our videos, they are looking at the comments to see who comment on what. And then when Musk took over X or Twitter, I left it and I got off of it immediately. Haven't been back since. And no telling what's being done and said over Twitter. So this Turning Point USA used to be is just a continuation of racist rhetoric.
Turning Point is inciting violence by holding a free speech event in Charlie's honor, something he died for, something he was murdered for.
As always, our speech is violence. Their violence is speech.
Yeah, exactly. The whole upside down, bizarro world that is the radical left. So what they did is they tried to block the one entrance, and what happened was we were begging the police. Our staff was begging the police to get involved to fin this up.
Going to get even now. Whether this is true, it may be. Came to isn't it strange? With all this support, why would they kill Charlie? And this one right here, I remember them showing a video of him saying if he got on the airplane and the pilots were black, he would wonder if he's safe. Do they know how to fly? Or is this DEI? Did they just get hired because they had a quota to fill? Nobody ever said, well, who you think is flying planes over there in Africa? White people? And who you think was flying that plane that fell out the sky? I mean, come on. See, this is how these people think. They only can think about division. So we're going to be hearing a lot about him in a little bit because it's coming up, the anniversary.
This is the most unbelievable thing I think I've ever seen. And I don't... America, I hope it's in this direction because God is here. And you can feel it.
What God you talk about? What God is you talking about? Jacob's God? The Philistines? That sent his only begotten son so that everyone that believes in him have everlasting life? Did we miss the part? Did they cut out the part where it says only the white people that believe in Jesus will be saved? Is that the God? Are we talking about the God who made? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light, and God saw light, and it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and darkness he called night, in the evening, in the morning. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because it had rested from all his work. Is that the same God that says made Adam and Eve? That everybody came?
And Charlie would have loved this, not just because he loved large groups of people, but because ultimately he was a Christian evangelist. And it actually reminds me of my favorite story ever. So it's about 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, and Jesus shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it. And they just go bonkers. They hate it. And they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I can just hear him say, I've got an idea, why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem. It doesn't work that way.
Okay. We all know where he's going with this. And this is how these people think. That just by killing one person, they're going to make it go away. But it's not that they want what they're saying to go away. That's what they thought when they killed Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, or Abraham Lincoln, whoever. They think that they know that what they're saying is not going to go away, but what they want to do is put the fear, enough fear that will slow it down so they can enjoy the fruits of their criminal activity or their division. Because see, everybody is an individual. You're not going to find another Charlie Kirk, just like you're not going to find another Martin Luther King Jr. or another Abraham Lincoln. But what they did is put enough room for somebody else to come in to take over, but they slowed it down. That's all they want to do is just ask. You're doing too much. And then he gonna try to say that Charlie Kirk, they killed him because he was telling the truth. He wasn't saying nothing different than any wizard has said, or any Jim Crow leader has said. But see, like we know, these people, they like to have a reason to get together and spread their propaganda. It's always, they don't ever miss a point or an opportunity to make their point. Now, listen to him. He can't help but laugh. I don't know if he's on something or whatever, but why are you laughing? You're talking about losing their life.
It doesn't work that way. Everything is inverted, and the Beatitudes tell it, I think, the most crisply. Everything is sort of the opposite of what you think it's going to be. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. That is true, and you can feel it here. The thing about Charlie's message, I've thought a lot about it, and I'm trying not to be emotional because in addition to everything else, he was a wonderful man and a decent man and one of those rare people you meet who you just groove with in conversation and have these very intense conversations that you don't stop thinking about, which is my experience with him. But the main thing about Charlie and his message, he was bringing the gospel to the country. He was doing the thing that the people in charge.
He said, bringing the gospel. To what did he say? Bringing the gospel to
he was doing the charge hate most, which is calling for them to repent. So how is Charlie's message different? And Charlie was a political person who was deeply interested in coalition building and in getting the right people in office because he knew that vast improvements are possible politically. But he also knew that politics is not the final answer. It can't answer the deepest questions, actually. That the only real solution is Jesus. And the reason, it's really simple. Politics, at its core, is a
okay, they hijacked Jesus. The real answer is Jesus. What Jesus? The Jesus that died to cover sin? And Jesus came and spoke to them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and earth. In the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Is that the Jesus? Now, after that, John was put in prison. Jesus came into Galilee preaching the gospel of the kingdom of God and saying, the time is fulfilled and the kingdom of God is at hand. Repent ye and believe the gospel. And what is the gospel? It is so strange that you have these people all these people here. Every day we're hearing about them being arrested for child pornography, raping children, stealing, fraud, all these Christian nationalists. So what is the gospel? Let me say how he went into, okay, this is Mark chapter 2:25. And he said it to them, have you never read what David did when he had need and was a hungered? And they that were with him. This is that old talking. How he went into the house of God in the days of Abiathar the high priest, and did eat the shewbread, which is not lawful to eat, but for the priests, and gave also to them which were with him. And he said to him, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Therefore, the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. So, these people are getting upset because this man was hungry. And they gave him some of this bread that only the priest's supposed to eat. Ain't it kind of like what you see? Yeah, all the time. And he entered again. See, this is when they was trying to trap Jesus. They they want to kill him. And he entered again into the synagogue, and there was a man there which had a withered hand, and they watched him, whether he would heal him on the Sabbath day, and they might accuse him. And he said unto the man which had the withered hand, stand forth. And he said unto him, it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath days, or to do evil, to save a life, or to kill. But they held their peace. And when he looked around about on them with anger, being grieved for the hardness of their hearts, he said unto the man, stretch forth thy hand. And he stretched it out, and his hand was restored whole as the other. Is that the Jesus that they're talking about? That all he want to do is heal people and help people, no matter what anybody say or what day it is? Is that the Jesus that he's talking about? And the Pharisees went forth and straightway and took counsel with the Herodians against him, how they might destroy him. See how they done hijacked Jesus? The same way they tried to fool people to thinking that Antifa is a terrorist group that only wants to kill and maim and terrorize people. Now, we have, it may be some in there that may be a little extreme, but don't forget to talk about yourself too. They can only come up with one group, whereas they got hundreds of terrorist groups. But Jesus withdrew himself with his disciples to the sea, and a great multitude of Galilee followed him, and from Judea, and from Jerusalem, and from beyond Jordan, and they went to Tyre and Sidon. And so, is that the Jesus that they're talking about? And this is something else that Jesus said. How can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house he divided against himself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. That's why I say that, because that is true in real life. That is true in real life. You know, just like you have all these Christian nationalists and these Christian evangelists and all this stuff. How are you casting out Satan when you're doing Satan's work? Raping children, starving people. You literally supporting someone that took food away and burnt it up in a warehouse instead of giving it to people. How are you going to stand? That's why I say we're going to have to be more diligent and stop letting these people put chaos in our lives, because their end is near. Because you can sit up there and go to church and all this stuff, and then the preacher is kicked out because he was sleeping with two of the women in there. Or you go to the Catholic church and stuff, and you find out all these Catholic priests are raping boys. But you still go to that church. Well, he fell out of faith. You're gonna follow a religion that produce rapists? Are you forgetting that he had to go through church school? He had to be appointed. And this is what they produced?
Process of critiquing other people and getting them to change. Christianity, the gospel message, the message of Jesus, begins with repentance. Christianity calls upon you to change. Our core prayer given to us by Jesus, the Lord's Prayer, demands that we forgive other people, but preceding that is a request for our forgiveness. In other words, forgive us our sins, meditate on what we've done wrong, how we've fallen short, and then it becomes possible to forgive other people. That is a call to change our hearts from Jesus, and that is the only way forward in this country. That is the only solution to where we all know we're going. And Charlie knew where we were going without that. And that is not a call for being politically passive, of course not. I stood at many stages with Charlie calling for various people to be elected, and I'm proud of that. It's only an acknowledgement that what Charlie was really saying.
Tech fascism is here, and it's growing.
How can you call yourself a Christian and supporting a criminal, accused pedophile, found liable of sexual assault, felon, adulteress? How is you able to support someone like that and call yourself a Christian? And you hear he just said, talking about forgiveness. This man don't forgive nobody. You just heard that he is trying to stop money from going into places where they did not vote for him. See, this is why these people are so confused. And confused people are easily trained and controlled. Pretty soon, they are going to go after everybody that they cannot control. So we might as well be prepared for ones that can't leave this country. Need to be prepared to be controlled more than what we already are.
Right movements worldwide. Peter Thiel of his disdain for democracy, and tech billionaires are building machinery for an authoritarian state, all to bolster the fascist regime of Donald Trump. Tech fascism didn't emerge quietly. It grew openly, in plain sight. So why did tech critics in journalism fail to warn us about it? For one thing, they were too busy licking the boots of tech billionaire CEOs. But there were a few exceptions, like today's guest, Paulina Borsuk. Back in the 1990s, most tech journalists were worshiping Silicon Valley, but Borsuk did the opposite. Writing for Wired magazine and other publications, Borsuk warned of a new toxic techno-libertarian political strain, one informed by the absolutist worldview of Ayn Rand, a new wave that sought to create a world as controllable and predictable as a computer, one with no room for the messy reality of human needs.
Wow. Yes. And you see our young ones, you see how uninformed they are. how they treat one another. I just told my grandson the other day, you are very selfish. That's what they're learning. They are learning that they have no needs. They have no wants. All they have is an urge for instant gratification. We are living in a world of instant gratification. And they are, who do you think is putting this fashion out where all these women are out here looking like hoochie mamas, behind hanging out, breasts hanging out, going to the beach, nothing left to the imagination? What is that doing to our young boys' minds? It's terrible. It has gotten critical. Not only is our infrastructure is criminal, is critical. It is criminal. Because I was going down a road yesterday, and my goodness, it was terrible. But yet, they're building all these homes. What happened to? And you know what? That's what causes a lot of anxiety and depression. Because these kids and our young ones have to look at this mess. And they don't know what to do. They scared. For one thing, a lot of them think that the world owes them something. And they could get together to have a block party. They can get together and go storm a store and steal everything, but they can't get together and clean up their neighborhood or help out some elderly ones or parents with their children. They have no sense of duty. It's critical out here. What we gonna do?
In 2001, Borsuk published Cyber Selfish, a critical romp through the terribly libertarian world of high tech. The book skewered high-tech culture with a scathing analysis, and it revealed the childish political beliefs and toxic masculinity at its core. She predicted that if these tech figures ever took an interest in politics, it would be bad news for the world. Spoiler alert, that's exactly what happened. Years before tech figures like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel would rise to challenge democracy, Paulina Borsuk saw it coming. But the media gatekeepers, they weren't interested in any bad news about their access to power and their advertising dollars. Her book wasn't a bestseller at the time, and her writing career took a dive. Today, however, Borsuk's work is back in the spotlight because she was right. A new generation is discovering her sharp and prophetic work, one that set a standard for what tech coverage can and should be. Nearly a quarter century ago, she was ignored when she tried to warn the world. But maybe today, it's not too late to finally listen. Here's our conversation.
Yeah, that is something that's why they trying to control what our kids read and learn. Okay. And we're not fighting that. We need to take our kids out of sports and put them in education. They need tutoring. They need to be learning. Instead of playing sports, they need to be learning how to build boats, build generators. They need, really. But of course, we have been brainwashed and we're being controlled not to think about rising up. Because as long as you're in that football stadium, on that football field, getting your brains knocked in, you're not thinking about rising up. And I took my grandson to track meet. Now, mind you, he lives out in the suburbs. And I'm looking at the ones that was trying out, and I'm like, wait a minute. Now, he's high yellow, but he's black because his parents is black. Well, one's half black. And I'm like, where are the black kids at? Why is he the only one? And in light of what just happened not too long ago, well, what's been happening, now they're talking about why are you letting your black son be the only black kid going to all these places with all these white kids, and they come up missing and all this stuff. Well, for one thing, how many black people got a boat, access to a boat, know how to drive a boat? Just like my grandsons like soccer. You could count the black people at a soccer meet. And we should be careful about lumping all kids, all racial people together. Because you can't help it. Just like, most of the places that we go, I can count how many black people is there. Where the black people at? In places that we usually don't go to. And I'm gonna be, this is the way I've always been. I don't feel comfortable being around a bunch of black folks or white, but I'd rather be somewhere where there is a mixture. And definitely not going to be around a bunch of young, I don't care what color they are, because they have a tendency to be unintelligent. And the times that we're living in now, you be around a lot of young black people, you're going to probably be around more guns than you are people. Because our young black boys have been traumatized. They have been groomed. And probably, I think, medically induced coma. We don't know what they're doing. We don't have no idea what they're doing to our black children when they're born. I don't trust them. They take your baby somewhere and they doing all this stuff. They shooting them up with this stuff they call vaccines. We don't know. All my kids got vaccines, and I always recommend get vaccines. This is the world we live in. It's horrible. But it's the only world we got right now. And if you can't afford to leave, okay, look at this.
Well, tonight, Iran is warning the U.S. to accept the reality of defeat. It was in American territory. NBC's Julie Sirkin is traveling with the president and has the details.
Tonight, Iran is calling on the United States to accept defeat and, quote, stop indulging in delusions. The country's new demands nearly 6 months into fighting, coming after the opposite is true.
After we finish,
look at this. All these police officers clapping for a criminal. Where else do they do that at? That's why he has such a big head. Because he know he's a criminal. He know he's committing crimes every day. And yet he have all these police officers clapping for him. Don't it kind of remind you that, all these other evil dictators, fascists, how everybody knew, all those people in the military, police, and all these knew what kind of evil man he was. They stood by him. They know that man is evil. And yet they are clapping for him.
defeating Iran, which is being very badly defeated.
He says the country is so weak he would soon claim the Strait of Hormuz for the U.S.
We have the blockade. Get through unless we want them to.
But Iran not backing down, declaring the strait will stay in its control. And on Friday, the president brushing off concerns about a key vessel supporting the war with Iran at sea for a record 9 months.
No. Not nearly long enough.
The USS George Washington is expected to replace the USS Abraham Lincoln after relatives of some service members complained about plumbing issues and of 2 sailors told NBC News their children said a fellow serviceman aboard. A U.S. official, that sailor was quickly rescued and treated. Another concern the president is downplaying, rising gas prices, which are still averaging above $4 a gallon.
When you have to pay a little bit more, you're at $4. It's okay. I mean, it's I'll never apologize. I did the right thing.
And with Iran holding firm for now.
And they're okay with that.
Enforcement, I think that it should be humane. I talk about our pride in being a sanctuary city in terms of the policies that we practice. I'll give you an example of those policies. We are willing to work with the federal government on more than 170 serious crimes.
I got to stop right there. We are willing. I didn't know the federal government had to get permission from the mayor of New York City.
Okay. Okay. Well, okay, let's finish. Let's finish. Let's finish.
Him to come out and say we're willing to work with the United States government.
If someone has been convicted of them, what we are unwilling to do is to participate in civil immigration enforcement with a federal government that has said openly it wants to deport a vast majority of people for crimes that we will never even know.
Dave Rubin said it pretty good, and I want you to keep this in mind. The fake smile, the half whisper. If you can't spot this jihadist in mayor's clothing, I don't know what to say. And we live in the United States of America.
Okay, that's the new talking point. They is calling literally people like him jihadists. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly the same thing they did with Jesus. Look at him. When they want to destroy you, they look at you. Every little thing you say, that ain't what they really mean. They mean this. Don't believe they trying to help you. The same thing. They learned it from the Bible. All this stuff that they doing, they learned it from the Bible, from these Pharisees and all these other ones that wanted to kill Jesus. Yeah, I just talked about how these Pharisees went around. Yeah. When Jesus healed that man, look at him. He's healing somebody on the Sabbath. He said, "Oh, I just supposed to sit up and let this man." And you're talking about the one that he said that I am God of the Sabbath. The other way around. So we need to stop letting these people hijack Jesus and God.
This about the ICC stuff. If anyone should be arrested and deported, it's him. He's acting. You know how they had the whole no kings thing? This guy is acting as though he is in his own little kingdom.
Oh,
you're the mayor
another black
of a city, a mayor, and you're telling everybody how you might be willing to work with the United States government on this and that, but not the other stuff. We don't find that that's what should be happening.
Right, is where I think I see the tension. Have you ever been to the U.S.-Mexico border? No. I think that what we've found from the Republican administration has been a desire to make any and all immigration illegal. And
no, nobody has said that. The conflation, how they put all this stuff together as if that's what Trump and Republicans and Americans want. We don't want any immigration. A, nobody has ever said that. B, they don't make any sort of delineation. There is no line between illegal immigration and immigration. You will never hear them ever differentiate. It's all the same thing as far as they are concerned. That's one of their biggest issues. They keep trying to tell Americans, oh, you guys just don't want immigrants. No, stop saying that. We need to fight back. You're missing the qualifier. We don't want people who aren't supposed to be here. My father was an immigrant. He came through the front door. What the hell do you people not understand about going through the front door? I know what they give a crap about the international whatever, the League of Men, whatever it is over there, and they're all grand poopas and they put on their water buffalo hats and swear to whatever, and there's like, we're going to put him in jail. What the hell does that have to do with the United States? So this guy is actually conspiring behind the scenes to throw another world leader who has diplomatic immunity in jail because of the grand poopas with the buffalo hats over there said that he's under indictment. Now, this is the part where insert any leader's name. Forget Netanyahu. I don't care if you hate the Jews. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the person is. This guy, the mayor of New York, where the United Nations is telling the world if the ICC thinks you're a bad guy, New York can pluck you off the street and put you in jail. Under what authority do you have there? That's where you should be very concerned, and that's where you should be.
What are you talking about? Oh boy, and look, okay, he has 361,000 subscribers. Okay,
when we're talking about immigration enforcement, I think that it should be humane. I talk about these that we.
How did he get a judge or anything? I don't care about that. Oh, they must all go home. Trump ends TPS. So trying to become legal, he's kicking them out. Marco Rubio vows to destroy far left groups, says they donated. Okay. Trump is taking back our school. Oh, this is why he got, oh, see, this is how you can make a lot of money. This is what Trump was talking about. Without him, y'all be broke. Because all y'all can do is talk about Trump gonna do this and Trump gonna do that, and you're gonna have 1,000 subscribers. Guess I have to click on it.
Millions of students heading back to school, and there are a lot of things on parents' minds. Cost of school supplies rose this found 8% since last year, and nearly $175 per child. And the average cost of packing a school lunch is up more than 10% compared to last year. What do you say to parents who are struggling not just with managed schooling, but also the economic strains of it?
Okay, come up this because I'm almost an hour and a half. This has been going on since I've been in school. People struggle to. It's always a family somewhere that is struggling to get school supplies, school clothes. That's why they came up with this school uniform. They got expensive. Okay. Why aren't you asking this woman who's never had to struggle, probably ever, maybe struggling to put some pants on? Why is you asking her that? You know, we all know that she got the job because she donated to Trump's fund. Why is you asking her that? Now let's see what this black MAGA gonna say.
Did you ask Biden that question? I'm pretty sure she didn't ask Joe Biden, what are you going to do? Because people are paying so much more. I remember they came out during the barbecue last year and said, this hot dogs are 17 cents less. You remember all that? But now she wants to approach her with, you're going to pay for someone else's kids because it's 8% higher. I mean, they had to reach for that stat. And this is 10% higher. Oh, you had to reach for that one, a whole 10%, huh?
Well, I think if you look at what's going on throughout the country, really, there are some price upticks, I think, but the general economy is so strong and doing so well, and I think as students are headed back to school, our parents should have a lot to look forward to this year. I mean, some of the work that we've been doing over the past year to make sure that parents are more in charge of the education that is going on in their states with their children.
This is what kills me. Parents are in charge of their kids. If they want to be in charge of their kids' education, teach their asses at home. Because my kids is in that classroom too while you talking. And all parents are not going to be on the same page. Duh.
They have more access to school records. They know that we've been working very hard to make sure that children are safer in school relative to, and this stat will probably blow your mind. It did mine. 1 in 10 children, statistics show 1 in 10 children before they finish high school will be sexually molested in school.
Dana Bash wasn't ready for that stat.
In school.
I love how she turned that around real quick. Oh, yeah, you want to talk about some fighting? The fact that kids are being abused in school, Dana. Because that's probably a little bit more important. Kids' safety.
Okay. That's not what she asked her. Why did she bring that up? Okay, that's a talking point. When was this? This was 21 hours ago. Okay, that's a new talking point. That's a new talking point on her end. Sexual molested in school. Okay.
Making sure kids aren't being touched and things done to them in school. You want to go over that a little bit, Dana?
So one of the things that we have really focused and really driving on is looking at what is going on in schools. There were California schools that actually were reported events of this. We've been investigating it.
Where did that stat come from? Did you do a study?
Yes, we did.
Why didn't she ask you that about your numbers? Hey, where'd that 8% and 10% come from? Did you do a study? Is it for all 50 states or California and with Minnesota? What states are 8% higher, Dana? But when she gives you a stat, you turn around and go, I want the source. Yeah, typical liberal.
We did a study, and it came from the general education statistics that were afforded to us. And so when we looked at that, and we really looked at those stats coming out of California, so we said, what is really going on here in these schools? And what happens is the teacher, or sometimes it's faculty and sometimes the staff that's working in the schools. And instead of firing those teachers just get sent to another school. And it's not part of their record or anything. So we have really been cracking down on that as well.
Yeah, and just as you know, parents are struggling with the economy. I know they are.
She completely ignored it. Yeah, people are struggling with the economy.
Original.
You don't even want to address what she just said? Did she just talk into a vacuum? Did nobody hear what she...
Oh, I'm getting a headache. Oh, I'm getting a headache. Oh, Lord. Have mercy. Oh, woo. All right, let me go. I will come back again. I just got a headache. No wonder. He's getting a nice paycheck because he has over 300,000 subscribers. And all he got to do is mention liberal, communism, Trump. What is it? What? Let's look at the headlines. Trump taking back our schools. Anything but insanity mortgage of liberals preferring radical. CNN destroyed. This is what America first looks like. Trump is economic D-Day. Yeah. Oh, he gets almost $9,000 a month talking this mess. Yes. That's why Trump was able to say, y'all ought to be broke when I'm gone. Because don't nobody else want to hear that stuff y'all talking about. He had gotten, in the last 7 days, 300 instances. Oh, wow. That's what you got to do. Hey, if you got the stomach for it, that's you. You know, it's always room for more evil geniuses. All right, take care. I'll be back later. Wow.